From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, the House of Representatives moves to investigate the frequent collapse of the national grid, mandate its committee on power to liaise with the stakeholders in the power sector to find lasting solutions to the lingering issue. The Senate summons the FCT Minister, Mr. Wigwe, and the FCT Commissioner of Police, Wigwe, following a recent spate of kidnappings in the nation's capital. And the president reiterates his administration's commitment to building an efficient Nigeria that is inclusive and fair to all citizens during a meeting with the Afenifere leaders in Ondo State.
On business news tonight, Petroleum Bank becomes Africa's largest financier of oil and gas projects as Nigeria gets 60% share of investments on the continent.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen fires hat-trick as rampant Napoli earned big win in Serie A victory over Sassuolo.
From the nation's capital, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, accuses NNPC Retail of fostering a hostile business environment, warns of looming fuel scarcity as a result.
And in international news from London, according to his spokesperson, Alexei Navalny will be buried at a cemetery in Moscow on Friday.
Not a few Nigerians are worried about the frequent collapse of the nation's power grid, with many describing the development as a national embarrassment. It's against this backdrop that the House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Power to urgently liaise with critical stakeholders in the power sector, investigate and prefer solutions to the incessant collapse of the national grid. According to the lawmakers, the incessant grid collapses this year have negatively impacted the economy. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports that the committee is expected to submit its findings to the House in 4 weeks.
The Speaker calls the House to order as the second day of plenary for the week resumes. A member, Mr. Billy Osawu, moves a motion on the frequency of collapse of the national grid, which has forced businesses to invest in alternative power sources, thereby raising their operational costs and leaving end users with exorbitant prices.
Mr. Speaker, the House recalls that the nation is currently facing its worst form of insecurity, including insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and other violent crimes. The collapse of the national grid will embolden criminal activities and security facilities such as the Vigiscope app, the Police Situation Room app. All police command control rooms can be compromised during the dark hours. Tracking devices that need power to reach telephone lines can be hampered. Mr. Speaker, cognizant of this, that if the frequent national grid collapses are thoroughly investigated and solutions profiled, it will end the continuous system collapse, boost the economy, and reduce the suffering of citizens.
The House unanimously adopts the motion.
As amended, should say aye. Those against should say nay. That is have it.
Following another motion by Mr. Taufik Akilesoro, the House also mandated its Committee on Digital and Information Technology to liaise with the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, National Broadcasting Commission, and other relevant agencies to investigate the agreement between government and StarTimes to fast-track the complete digitization of the Nigerian broadcasting industry and report back within 4 weeks. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Senate has summoned the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Wigwe, and the FCT Commissioner of Police, Mr. Wigwe, to brief the members on security in the FCT following a spate of kidnappings in the nation's capital. The Senate announced the resolution after a motion moved by Senator Ned Nwoko representing Delta North. Now, the Senate equally quashed a bill seeking to amend the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) Act to make provision for the inclusion of Anambra as one of the member states. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
The upper chamber resumes plenary, adopting salient matters like insecurity in the FCT and the NDDC Act as part of engagements for the day.
The Senate, via
in a motion on the Galadimawa kidnap incident where 19 persons were allegedly abducted in the FCT in November 2023, the sponsor, Senator Ned Nwoko, whose aide also fell victim, presented his arguments.
Disturbed that the gravity of this situation has only been compounded by the revelation of Barrister Agidi and others' untimely demise at the hands of these abductors, and their remains recovered and deposited at Gwagwalada Teaching Hospital mortuary for medical.
Rather than adopting just the resolutions, the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, raised the suggestion to expand investigation on the matter, including summons.
In view of this tragic incidents, that we invite the Minister of FCT and the Commissioner of Police in charge of FCT to meet the Senate in closed session to discuss on the issue of the security of the FCT.
A bill seeking to amend the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) Act to make provision for the inclusion of Anambra State as one of the member states is brought before the House.
Anambra State contributes a sizable number in the revenue that is accruable to this country. So this bill seeks to just to formalize that Anambra State will be the 10th state as one of the states in this Niger Delta Development State.
Immediately, the debate became polarized.
I think they deserve to be treated just like any other state that is an oil-producing state. The immediate benefit of this is that they will be entitled to a commissioner on the board of Niger Delta Commission.
It will mean that now that oil has been reported to have been found in Gombe State in the northeast will now be said to be a member of the NDDC state.
So that we don't make nonsense of this commission. The UNPADEC that was initially repealed to give back to this NDDC, we have to bring it back. We have to bring it back so that all the oil-producing states can be recognized and all of this can be in one document.
Controversy stirred as the President of the Senate sought to douse tension.
Please, will you want to step it down for further consultations, or do you want us to put a question?
Declining to withdraw, the bill is subsequently quashed.
Those who are in support of the argument that this bill be now read a second time, to go for second reading, say aye. Those against say nay. The next have it.
Earlier, a bill for an act to establish a national center for the coordination and proliferation and control of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria was passed in the upper chamber. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezoke, Channels Television News.
In Nasarawa State, Governor Abdullahi Sule is lamenting the latest attack in the state, which he says has put a snag in the resettlement efforts the government is undertaking. The communal skirmishes between the Igbiras and Basa's ethnic groups of Toto local government area claimed the life of a village head of Katakwa community and 4 other persons. Governor Sule, who was speaking during the State Executive Council meeting in Lafia, also said that 3 other people were injured in the incident.
As you all know, Katakwa to the Basa and the Ibira has become like Jerusalem to the Jews and the Arabs. Everybody is claiming ownership of that particular town, and it has become a historical town for both of them. And every one of them is showing great amount of interest that he must be there, and that's the reason why the unfortunate killings of anybody, found in the place. The sad thing about this particular incident is the fact that we were just meeting with all the groups 2 weeks ago, and we were getting ready to have a light at the end of the tunnel. But this particular incident has taken us so many steps backward. The increase in the number of some of these offenses has a lot to do with the situation of the country as a whole. But that is the reason why we are also not resting as a government. Why we continue to have more effort in ensuring that such things will not happen. But we have to find ways, to cushion the effects of some of the economic hardships that people are facing, which is responsible.
To health matters, Nigeria appears set to develop a vaccine for Lassa fever and meningitis as part of efforts to combat the threat of the diseases and safeguard the health of Nigerians. This cheering news is coming from the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, at the ministerial briefing organized by the Ministry of Information and National Orientation in Abuja. Professor Pate adds that about 750,000 more Nigerians have been enrolled into the Nigerian Health Insurance Scheme, and 50 billion naira will be released as the first tranche of the basic healthcare funds in efforts to improve primary healthcare facilities.
25 minutes to talk to you.
It's the third edition of the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation ministerial briefing aimed at providing updates on some of the federal government's activities.
The whole idea is to bridge the gap between the public and the government so that people will get to know what government is doing, government programs and policies at all times.
The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, is the guest at this series of the briefing. He starts by giving an update on the plans by the government to advance the sector.
We launched a task force to start working towards a Lassa fever vaccine development in Nigeria, chaired by the NCDC, the NAFDAC DG, our development partners, to start conducting studies to understand the epidemiology of Lassa fever, because we know there are candidate vaccines. So that when the vaccines are developed, they are manufactured in Nigeria, that they are safe and effective, and they're deployed in Nigeria. To improve the governance of the health sector consistent with the National Health Act, we operationalize the national health system with the federal government and states signing a compact in December for the first time that governs the interrelationship between federal government and states to improve the health and well-being of Nigerians.
The minister also sheds more light on the plans by the government to unlock the health value chain by improving on local manufacturing of drugs and other medical supplies.
We signed a $1 billion MOU with the Afrexim Bank to help unlock the healthcare value chain. That was last week. And essentially, it's not money to the government. It's money to be available for investors and participants in the healthcare value chain so that we can manufacture, produce materials here that will be useful, that will be effective, but also retain the economic value and create jobs for Nigerians. So health is not only a consumption sector, but it can also be a productive sector. And I think that direction, consistent with the President's direction and his agenda, I think will be unfolding very soon. We have at least 3 entities that are coming in to Nigeria. A Brazilian company committed and has approved $240 million investment in the generic pharmaceutical industry. And we have diagnostic companies that are coming to establish manufacturing plants.
The minister adds that the federal government has recruited 2,497 doctors, midwives, nurses, and community health extension workers in the last 6 months as part of an ongoing effort to bridge the manpower shortage in the health sector caused by the Japa syndrome. Victoria Longchan for Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, we'll bring you the latest exchange between Labour and the federal government. Plus, the president visits Owo town to condole with the family of former Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. Please stay with us.
Enjoy 50% discount off in the Airtel Home Broadband Season of Love offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 naira and get up to 240 gigabytes or a MiFi for 7,500 naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by Airtel. A reason to imagine.
Show off your best skin this Harmattan with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion. Now with 5-in-1 Complete Care. The deeply nourishing formula prevents your skin from drying out. With precious cocoa butter and deep moisture for smooth and healthy looking skin. Love your skin this Harmattan with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa 5-in-1 Complete Care.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Now, all of us like to chop better food. Food where they make body tranga and vegetables where fresh like say tomorrow not day. We want make the chocolate sweet the way we go like them. No cubes. Now be the secret. Then make them with correct ingredients like chicken, parsley, garlic, plenty iron corn full and palm to make your chocolate palm bra for you. Come the sweet well. Now be the cocoa. Make we carry salute, throw away give no.
Change your world by changing waiting to your plate.
Do you know that you can now print all your essential items for events without even having to leave your home? It's the Cast Print Combo Deal for all events.
Yes!
Weddings, conferences, birthdays, burials, etc. Starting from 495,000 naira only. You get 50 invites, 50 A2 size posters, 50 16-page brochures, 1 large backdrop banner, 1 roll-up banner, 50 jotters with pens, and 50 souvenir carrier bags. Whatever event you're planning, we can adjust to your budget and quantities. Just send your pictures and other information through WhatsApp, and we shall send a design for your approval. Approve your design, and we will produce with super high-quality digital print technology. We can even arrange delivery to your location. Call us now on 0913-156-5016 or 0812-794-9323 or visit our social media pages. Cast Prints, digital printing at super speed.
First Money is Nigeria's biggest and most preferred agent banking network. Thanks to First Money, millions of people are living their dreams. Meet some First Money agents who are driving this.
One Kiriki from First Bank introduced me to First Money. I forgot searching for jobs.
Ya taimaki mutane sosai wurin matsowa kusa da yanayin banki. Da sai sun tafiya mai nisa kamin su je su samu banki.
Through First Money, over 1 million people across Nigeria have their financial services needs met daily. In all the accessible local government areas, you're bound to find First Money agents. With First Money, we're bringing financial inclusion and the many benefits that come with it. You first. First Bank.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 coming to you live in Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The House of Representatives moves to investigate the frequent collapse of the national grid, mandates its committee on power to liaise with the stakeholders in the power sector to find solutions to the lingering issue. The Senate summons the FCT Minister, Mr. Wigwe, and the FCT Commissioner of Police, Wigwe, to discuss security in the nation's capital following recent spate of kidnappings in Abuja. The President reiterates his administration's commitment to building an efficient Nigeria that is inclusive and fair to all citizens during a meeting with Afenifere leaders in Ondo State. And Russia's opposition, Alexei Navalny, to be buried at a cemetery in Moscow tomorrow. The Nigeria Labour Congress, that's the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, has faulted claims by the federal government that about 80% of their demands have been met by the government. The president of the NLC, Mr. Joe Ajero, told a news conference in Abuja that a substantial part of their demands has not been met, and some that the government commenced their implementation, such as the wage award to workers, was done haphazardly. Mr. Ajero, who commended workers for supporting the nationwide protest on Tuesday, urges the government to make good use of the 14-day ultimatum and address the pending issues.
When we have such an agreement, even from the masses, from the unions, from journalists, you can do analysis on them. The key one that everybody seems to be talking about is wage award. And between that October, September, October, November, December, January, we are now in February. Only 1 month was paid. Some people got 2 months. And between the last time we gave ultimatum, they have paid some of us 1 month or 2. And the people they paid are not up to 40% of federal parastatus, ministries, and other establishments, federal. It is not on board that any state government has paid 35% wage award. Never. You can't tell your citizens lies. It's the issue of tax relief. Some of you are workers in federal establishments. Do you have any tax relief? Which we agreed upon? None. Find out whether 1 liter of PMS is being lifted from the Port Harcourt refinery. Now, how will I come on national television to tell people that this has been substantially complied with? How will a serving minister or even government functionary to say they have done well on these verifiable issues?
Meanwhile, the federal government is still not convinced that the protest by the Nigeria Labour Congress was necessary. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says the Bola Tinubu administration has substantially implemented the terms of the 15-point memorandum of understanding signed with labor unions last year. He was speaking on our political program, Politics Today.
There was a meeting in October, and certain things were agreed upon. And I can tell you categorically that the federal government, headed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has substantially implemented the terms of that agreement. You can see the reaction of TUC. The LSC was not the only labor union, central labor union that was part of that agreement. The TUC was there. The TUC saw no reason for Ajero's protests, and he pulled out. 65 unions also agree with TUC and did not take part in the project because it was unnecessary. The government has done substantially what was agreed upon. I was at a meeting, at a review meeting some weeks ago, where government was taking all the items agreed upon and which has been done. The way there was, the government was slow in implementing it. In fact, at a stage, the president himself had to call on the officials to know why they've not paid the 35,000 wage award to civil servants up to date. But I can tell you, as I'm speaking to you now, that has been done. Payment has been made. In fact, people have gotten about four of the money. Government is investing heavily in also bringing in tricycles. Almost about 10,000 of them are going to be brought in.
To Ondo State now, where the president today visited the family of former governor of the state, Rotimi Akeredolu, who died last December. President Bola Tinubu was received at the family house of the departed governor in Owo Town by Akeredolu's widow, Betty, alongside other family members. He was accompanied on the visit by the governor of Ondo State, Lucky Ayedatiwa, and his Ekiti State counterpart, Biodun Oyebanji, as well as other top government officials. President Bola Tinubu also paid a visit to the Owo monarch, the Olowo of Owo, Ajibade Ogunye, where he commiserated with him over the death of Rotimi Akeredolu, saying that the legacies of the former Ondo State governor left will endure.
We lost an illustrious sons. Yes, a man passed. Akeredolu is my very, very close ally. And he's the son of the soil. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's all. As simple as that. I'm running out of time. But I said, I must be here. I must see you. I feel the life of my friend, my partner, my political associate. Thank you for giving him a befitting burial. Thank you very much, Ayedatiwa. Thank you, Deputy. Thank you very much. God bless you.
The Olowo of Owo on his part expressed appreciation to the president for the visit, affirming that the former governor was fully committed to democratic principles and practices.
The fact remains that you are a true leader, a pan-Africanist, a Nigerian by excellence, a Yoruba man to the core. Because if we are to consider your business schedule, somebody in your shoes may not bother. You had sent your vice to be here during the burial, and he represented you well. But you still deemed it necessary to be here to commiserate with us. Thank you very much, Mr. President. We appreciate you, and we will continue to appreciate you always. You are the leader that we want, and you are there. We'll continue to support you and support your government.
Meanwhile, the president says his administration is working to ensure that Nigeria is reformed for greater efficiency, with a particular emphasis on inculcating fairness and equity in all aspects of national life. Addressing Afenifere leaders at the residence of Pa Ruben Fashion-Roti in Akure, the Ondo State capital, in continuation of his visit there, the president emphasized his commitments to leading Nigeria towards economic and social prosperity. On reforming Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu said his task will be to ensure fiscal and true federalism, as well as the broad-based manifestation of the philosophy of what is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. Meanwhile, tributes have continued to pour in for former Group CEO of Access Holdings PLC, Mr. Herbert Wigwe, his wife and son, following their death in a helicopter crash in the United States. They died alongside former Group Chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC, Mr. Abimbola Ogubanjo. Dignitaries, including Governor Siminalayi Fubara, gathered in Port Harcourt yesterday for a night of tribute in honor of the Wigwes.
It was a solemn night of reflection and tribute as prominent sons and daughters of River State gather at the EUI Event Center at Sani Abacha Road in New GRA, Port Harcourt, River State.
Thank you so much. Today, let us remember that life
Each of them had something to say or share about their encounter with late Herbert Wigwe, who died with his wife, son, and a business associate, Abimbola Ogunbanjo.
Dear friends,
the consensus is that Mr. Wigwe will be remembered for his contributions to the development of the state and the banking sector.
We are gathered here this evening in God's presence to honor a pillar and a potent force in this Port Harcourt City One Love movement. A group that owes its existence to the propagation of love, friendship, brotherhood, comradeship, sisterhood. All we do here is to support one another.
It was always going to be difficult to encapsulate in few words who Herbert was and who Herbert is. And I choose my words very deliberately, because Herbert will forever live in our hearts. Where do we begin from? Should we go back to our times as young men who formed the Rivers Bayelsa Professionals Forum? With Herbert, our chairman, Rotimi Alaibi, co-chairman, I, the spokesperson, and of course, Ambassador Ogan, always the organizer.
An invaluable lesson Herbert's passing teaches us is that every day of our existence is a gift to be treasured and cherished. We should love and show compassion to all whilst we can. Testimonies abound. At Herbert, his wife and son intentionally and selflessly cared and loved family and friends in their lifetime.
For Governor Fubara, the late Herbert Wigwe lived an impactful life, and so he promised that his administration is determined to immortalize his achievements.
I want to join every one of you, as much as it looks difficult. Let's have that faith that the only one that can comfort us in this kind of situation is God, and He's going to fill that gap for us. Don't lose faith in God. We will, as a government, do everything within our power to immortalize some of the legacies of our dear brothers.
The governor also urges the people to be selfless while alive, noting that there is no amount of wealth acquired that will be taken along in death.
Immediately, when it happened, we started feeling the pains. But at the long run, we understand the message that God has just sent to us. It sounds painful, but it has a special message. We have come to this world with nothing. We leave this world, no matter how rich you are. When you die, you also live with nothing.
The event offers encouragement to the Wigwe family to take comfort in the selfless commitment of their son to humanity and his contributions to national development.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Afrexim Bank becomes Africa's largest financier of oil and gas projects as Nigeria gets 60% share of its investment on the continent. That's on Business News. Please join us again.
Wasn't really here. What have they seen in the past 10 years, which is making all of them want to put their HQ here?
If you're
a business that sees itself growing global, we'll definitely need some sort of like boosts. We need to tap into those existing networks that these big tech companies do provide.
Is there a downside to big investment in Africa? Okay. It's a tricky question.
We want to be like Amazon, we want to be like Google. Like, this is not, we are not looking to sort of be just another player.
For me, big tech is something highly controversial. I see the value of it, but I also see that Africans should stop playing second fiddle to some of these organizations and have the confidence to start building our own technology.
We've seen how we are using the limited resources we have to solve real problems. They've seen indigenous tech startups achieving things that took them years to figure out.
Welcome back. The Deputy Governor of Edo State, Mr. Philip Shaibu, is demanding his certificate of return, asserting that he emerged victorious in the exercise in the recently concluded governorship primary of the People's Democratic Party in the state, Edo State that is. And Mr. Shaibu, accompanied by his supporters, voiced his discontent at the PDP headquarters in Abuja, criticizing the PDP National Working Committee for awarding the certificate of return to Mr. Asue Ighodalo, whom the party has endorsed as its candidate for the upcoming state election. In his plea, Mr. Shaibu urged the PDP leadership to rectify what he deemed as irregularities, or he might be compelled to seek redress in court.
Today is the day set aside by the electoral guideline approved by the National Working Committee to be the day that the return certificate will be issued. And so it's not something surprising I'm here. I'm here to receive my certificate of return because I won the primaries in Edo that was conducted, and the authentic delegates voted. I'm sure when you look at the walls of the PDP, you see the names of all the delegates that voted for me on the walls of PDP. When the party internal mechanism is being followed, and it's obvious that the party is not ready to listen, the next line of action obviously will be the judiciary. But I pray we don't get there, and that is why I came today. I'm sure in the coming days, the national chairman and others will adhere to what brought me here today, and when they do so, obviously there won't be need to go to court. But if they don't do what is needful in the sense that I won the primary with the authentic delegate, the certificate should be returned to me. If that is not done, we will not have any choice to seek for interpretation by the courts.
So let's head now to the nation's capital, where Gloria Umezoke is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studio. Hello, Gloria.
Many thanks, Ayo. Here in the nation's capital, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, says it can no longer continue to do business under the hostile environment it says was put in place by NNPC Retail. Rising from a meeting of its national officers in Abuja this evening, IPMAN says the NNPC Retail is a competitor, supplier and regulator, a situation which it maintains is threatening the businesses of its members who are refused allocation of products. IPMAN warns that if the situation is not resolved, it could lead to another round of fuel scarcity. It also accuses the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority of arbitrary increase in tariffs on its members while refusing to do the same for NNPC.
It's only in this country that you have the supplier, the provider, at the same time as a retailer. It doesn't happen in some other countries, because NNPC Retail is a limited company, like we independent marketers are. More our members are independent marketers. When NNPC want to go into limited, they're supposed not to put us under NNPC Retail, because they are a competitor. Even who knows whether they have been taking our product and selling it. Because when our product comes to them, you hardly get it. You hardly get it. So what is happening? So they are our competitor, and at the same time, our supplier, It's only in Nigeria that you can see that type of things. The government too should look into NMDPRA. We have a lot of bridging claims which is pending in NMDPRA. NMDPRA is getting money from NNPC. And NNPC is a limited liability company now. They have declared their profit. They have done their annual returns. So we expect that the money is with NMDPRA. On this incessant increase in tariffs, NMDPRA is very funny of increasing tariff. It will discourage a lot of marketers who really want to come into the business. Because when you increase tariff today, tomorrow you come back again and increase tariff. So they should find something to it. And the one they have increased, they should call marketers, stakeholders to discuss on it. Because if not so, when stakeholders don't, cannot afford it, it will return to having the scarcity of products.
Staying with energy matters, Nigeria will continue to pursue aggressively its exploration and production of hydrocarbon, especially with its huge gas reserve, amid divided conversation around energy transition. This is the consensus coming from the ongoing Nigeria International Energy Summit in Abuja. The Ministers of State's Petroleum Resources, Group CEO and NPC, the OPEC Secretary General and others all agree that global demand for gas will continue to grow. Our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, has more.
For the seventh time in a row, the global energy community has converged on Abuja in Nigeria for the annual International Energy Summit 2024. Focus here is how to navigate the new energy order in terms of security, transition, and finance. The focus is in Africa in this global conversation of fossil fuels versus renewables.
If you go to Saudi, if you go to Kuwait, if you go to UAE, it's the same resources they have that they have been able to translate into prosperity in their own climes. And what are they doing that we cannot do? That is the question that this summit is supposed to find out.
Clearly, financing and security will accelerate or slow down the catch-up with the new order, and the African Petroleum Producers Organization has got an indigenous idea.
I am pleased to say that a decision on the host country for the Africa Energy Bank shall be taken by the end of the first quarter of this year.
Nigeria has made some progress since identifying gas as its transition fuel. Hear this.
On September 12, 2023, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, announced the successful bidders for the Nigerian Gas Flare Commercialization Program. Out of 300 interested entities, 42 were chosen, receiving 40 flare sites for independent development, while 4 entities got 9 sites, each for cluster development.
Contrary to concerns about the rate of divestments, there is an opportunity locked in.
There's a very clear connection between energy security and national security anywhere in the world. And I'm sure you all will agree, including Secretary General OPEC, that nearly every conflict you see around in the world today have some root in energy security in every form. Therefore, we understand our role to make sure that this country must have energy sufficiency that we don't have today. We must have access to clean cooking fuel that we don't have today. That we also must have sustained and sustainable supply of electricity that we don't have today.
It's his first visit to Nigeria, and the OPEC Secretary General is an optimist that getting the resource of hydrocarbon from beneath will continue, and Nigeria is a key player.
Africa has a young and vibrant population. By 2045, the Middle East and Africa regions both will add about 723 million people to the global population. This is according to OPEC's World Oil Outlook forecast, the WOO. We anticipate a very bright future for Africa's oil industry with substantial opportunities for growth.
What's more reassuring is the presidential crowning, which suggests all will end well with current policies, and oil and gas development will guarantee substantial relief.
This transition is not only an environmental necessity, but also an economic opportunity. We must leverage on innovation and collaboration to ensure a smooth and just transition that will leave no one behind.
Conversations over the next few days will attempt to find a balanced conversation and to bring together the play of actors, of those who think that they should retain their oil production and continue to go forward, and those who think we should begin to look at very clean energy. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Away from the oil sector to infrastructure development in Abia State, which is currently undergoing major turnaround with the rehabilitation of roads, especially in the commercial town of Aba. The Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, was in the state to commission some of the projects and also inaugurate the Aba Integrated Power Project.
This is Vice President Kashim Shettima's first visit to Aba, the commercial nerve center of Abia State, since he assumed office on May 29, 2023. The Vice President's first assignment is to inaugurate the Aba Geometric Power Plant, the first integrated power plant in Nigeria, situated at Osisioma Industrial Area of Aba. According to the Vice President, the federal government is proud to be associated with the project.
Today in Aba, we saw testimony to good leadership. I saw the outpouring of emotion, of love and support for Dr. Alex Otti. I was privileged to commission the Hospital Road, the Jubilee Road, and the Emoba Road on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Your Excellency, posterity will be very kind to you. Keep the flag flying, keep up the good works. Long live Geometric Power Services, long live Abia State.
On his part, Governor Alex Otti appeals to residents of Aba to work closely with security agents to guard against any form of sabotage.
The success of this power project will not just validate my unyielding belief in Aba, but will send a clear signal to local and international investors that Aba is open for business. We shall offer every necessary support to guarantee the success of this project, because so much depends on it. My doors will remain open to engage and listen to you. I'm also certain that other body of stakeholders, including landlords, business and community leaders, will never withhold their cooperation if efforts are made to build faith and trust in your business model.
Next, the Vice President and his host, Dr. T, moved to commission the new Jubilee Road, also in Aba. Done with his assignment, the Vice President departs, but residents of Aba are excited as they believe the newly rehabilitated road, as well as the power plant commissioned by Mr. Kashim Shettima, is an indication of better things to come in Abia State.
That's it from the nation's capital. It's over now to Will in Lagos for business news.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Gloria, and welcome to Business News. Now, the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, says it has become the largest financier of oil and gas projects in Africa. The bank made this known today at the ongoing Nigeria International Energy Summit in Abuja. According to Afreximbank, it has invested $30 billion in industry projects, with Nigeria as one of the biggest beneficiaries, accounting for almost 60% of the total funding of the sector. And this is despite reduced global funding for hydrocarbon ventures in Africa. Meanwhile, President Afreximbank, Professor Benedict Orama, says Africa needs to find innovative solutions to its huge energy deficit, and the bank's move to manage the proposed Africa Energy Bank is one way to ensure its best chance of success. Now, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has ordered telecom service providers to bar subscribers who have failed to link their phone numbers to their national identification numbers, NIN, or on or before February 28th. The Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission, Dr. Aminu Maida, who gave this directive through the Director of Public Affairs at the 45th Kaduna International Trade Fair on Wednesday, stresses that linking the national identification numbers to SIM cards is a matter of critical national security. He insists that the February 25th deadline given to telecom operators to bar subscribers who fail to link their NIN to SIM stands. Now it's still bleeding at the NGX as investors continue to take profit following the CBN's bumper interest rate hike yesterday, and Laddie Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. And just like that, the 100K level for the all-share index is gone. 99,302 points, down 1.27%. Well, hopefully we can return there again if investors get back to that cherry-picking mode at this time. But remember, the stockbroker I spoke to said if you lose the 100,000 level and it remains under there, then there's more risk for some downside action. Let's look at the sectoral performance now. We'll see the banking counter, a very big drop today, 6.90%. Almost 7% drop for the banking counter. Consumer goods, also a big drop there, 1.20%. Oil and gas maintains that unchanged position at this time. Let's look at the Fugas now. The reason why the banking counter is down big at this point, 9.97%, FBNH, all the Fugas, all the Tier 1 banks are down today. GTCO, 8.75%, Axis Core, 9.82%, just Zenith Bank holding there by 5.94%. Well, it's hammered today for the banking counter, and at this point, the question is, are investors heading to the fixed income market with the latest jumbo rate hike by the Monetary Policy Committee? Well, time will tell. That's the Stock Market Report. I'm Laddie Williams.
Thank you, Laddie. We do hope the fixed income market leaves some pickings for the equity investors. Now let's see how other major equities around the world perform today. And that's it on Business News. It's back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you so much, Will. Late Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny will be buried in Moscow on Friday. Speaking earlier today, Alexei's widow, Yulia, said she did not know if the funeral will be peaceful or if police will arrest those who came to say goodbye. Here's Simon Puser with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Alexei Navalny will be buried at a cemetery in Moscow on Friday, according to his spokesperson. The service will be held at Borisovskoye Cemetery after a farewell ceremony in the Marino district. On Tuesday, the opposition leader's spokeswoman said that his team was struggling to find a funeral home, with some refusing to hold the service when they found out who it was for. Alexei Navalny suddenly died in an Arctic prison earlier this month. For years, he was the most high-profile critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Well, earlier, his wife, Yulia Navalnaya, addressed the European Parliament and vowed to continue her husband's work to fight for a free Russia. She was greeted by a standing ovation in Strasbourg before saying Alexei Navalny's death shows you cannot negotiate with Putin.
On the one hand, the public murder has once again showed everyone that Putin is capable of anything and that you cannot negotiate with him. Many people have the feeling that Putin cannot be defeated at all. And in this desperation, they are now asking me, how can I help you? This is the answer to the question. If you really want to defeat Putin, you have to become an innovator. You have to stop being boring.
President Joe Biden is projected to win Michigan's Democratic presidential primary comfortably despite a significant protest vote over his stance towards the war in Gaza. Activists have spent recent weeks urging Democrats to vote uncommitted, and tens of thousands chose to do so. That exceeded many expectations, though one recent projection suggests Mr. Biden won 78.6% of the vote overall, with uncommitted votes totaling 16.2% and Dean Phillips on 2.7%. Mr. Biden thanked every Michiganer who made their voice heard. A nuclear weapons plant has been evacuated as a Texas wildfire scorches more than 200,000 acres of land with 11 million people under a so-called red flag warning for spontaneous fires. Video filmed from inside a fire truck shows flames towering above the road as thick smoke obscures the view. Out of control fires across the Texas Panhandle, the northernmost region of the U.S. state, have affected more than 250,000 acres of land, triggering evacuations, road closures and power cuts. Pantex, a key nuclear weapons plant, was forced to suspend operations until further notice. 6 suspects have been arrested in connection with the murders of well-known South African rapper Kiernan Forbes, popularly known as AKA, and his close friend Tabelo Tits Motshone. The two were gunned down outside a restaurant in Durban a year ago in a killing that shocked South Africans. Here, footage of the star's final moments on CCTV. Police said hitmen were paid to target AKA, but no motive was revealed. In his career, he had a string of hits, including with Nigeria's Burna Boy. He was shot at point-blank range and died instantly. The suspects, all aged below 36, are due to appear in court on Thursday. The former Guinean opposition leader has been appointed prime minister by the country's military junta a week after it abruptly dissolved the government. Mamadou Oibar's appointment comes amid growing dissatisfaction with the junta. 2 people were killed on Monday after police clashed with protesters during a nationwide workers' strike. Trade unions have been demanding lower food prices as Guineans struggle with the high cost of living. Mr. Bar, popularly known in Guinea as Bar Uri, has urged the unions to call off the strike and highlight what we can do to together solve the big challenges gradually, step by step. And Mexico City International Airport says airlines have cancelled 22 domestic and international flights to carry out safety checks after planes encountered ash from the Popocatépetl volcano while flying towards the capital. This time-lapse video shows the smoke billowing from the volcano. In a post on X, the airport said it remains open and in operation. The government has issued a yellow alert for activity from what's known as Smoking Mountain. Authorities said a column of smoke from the volcano was blowing to the north-northwest and could bring ash over the capital. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. Sports News now. Plateau United recorded the biggest away win this season on the table. League leaders Lobby Stars went down to a 2-0 defeat against Sunshine Stars in Akure, but retained their top. Stars dropped to 4th after 1-0 loss to Rangers in Enugu. In other results, Sporting Lagos were 2-1 winners, and Akwa United also losing. In the Italian Serie A, Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen continues his scoring form on his return to Napoli from the Cup of Nations, netting a hat-trick and a 6-1 thrashing off to Sassuolo. Sassuolo took the lead against the run-off play in the 17th minute, but Osimhen scored twice to put the visitors 3-1 at halftime. The Nigerian striker completed his hat-trick 2 minutes after the break, following a Sassuolo defensive error. To other stories now, 3-time Grand Slam champion Andy Murray is planning to compete at another Olympic Games before he retires. The future of the former world number 2, who turns 37 in May, has come under increased scrutiny after he has struggled for wins in recent months. And that's a wrap on sports. It's back to Ayo.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. The House of Representatives today moved to investigate the frequent collapse of the national grid as the House mandated its Committee on Power to liaise with the stakeholders in the power sector to find solutions to the lingering issue. And President Bola Tinubu said he would take responsibility for the nation as he pledged to build an efficient Nigeria that is inclusive and fair to all Nigerians. He made the comments in Akure, the Ondo state capital, while addressing Afenifere leaders. Well, that's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Akeredolu. Follow me to have a good night and please stay safe.